everyone. My name's Eric Hansen, and this is another edition of Treelawn Talks. This is our weekly program where we focus on upcoming events at the Treelawn Music Hall and the Treelawn Social Club, both under the same roof with the same address, 15335 Waterloo Road in the Collinwood section of Cleveland. We are really excited about a program that's happening on Friday, this Friday, March 29, 7:30 p.m., the Baldassarre Rock Orchestra, and it's the brainchild of Cleveland native Carl Baldassarre, who's our guest today. And how you doing, Carl?
I'm doing great, Eric. Thanks for having me on.
Sure thing. So we were talking just before this, and Carl was talking about how his family's from the neighborhood of Collinwood. Can you give a quick rundown on your local history here?
Yeah, I was born and raised here on the east side of Cleveland. And, although I've moved around quite a bit in my adult life, both here in the States and in Europe, I came back and really put my roots back down during the pandemic. From there, I've just been building a musical beachhead here.
I love it. What's your main instrument? And in a nutshell, what's been your experience up until this group in the music world?
My main instrument is actually the pencil because I'm a composer, and the most musical end of the pencil is the eraser. So I love to create by taking things away. No, for live performances, you'll find me featured on guitars of various types, but I definitely speak more as a composer. I'm happy to be a composer who plays guitar. My background has been in all sorts of genres. I was lucky enough to grow up in the 60s and 70s when there was such an explosion of different types of art and culture. So that kind of infused my thinking. So I really don't stand still. I do everything from classical music to rock to everything in between, reggae, funk, soul, what have you. So kind of what we're doing here with the Baldassarre Rock Orchestra, maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but basically to present a show that is sort of anchored in the 70s, so that classic rock vibe, but we're actually bringing an orchestral perspective to it. So we call it classic rock with symphonic splendor.
I love it.
So we're kind of giving a twist to all that stuff, both, in my original music, it's kind of classic rock infused. And then we got a lot of surprise cover songs that we're going to do. It's going to be a real high energy night.
Well, the wheels in my brain the gears were turning when I heard about this project, because I think of all these songs that do use strings and stuff that are pretty rocking, and it seems really cool to be able to open the musical palette that way, because a lot of groups, when they cover certain songs, they just omit that, or they do the strings with keyboards or something, which I think can be cheesy. So I'm really excited about the different textures you're going to be able to bring.
Yeah, and also the inventive part of it is adding kind of the orchestral aspects to songs that originally weren't conceived with the orchestral parts of it. So
okay.
Yeah, it really broadens the palette, and so it's providing you the familiar things that you've heard, but yet in an unfamiliar way.
That's awesome. So what's the instrumentation? How big is the group?
This show is going to be a 9-piece rock orchestra. So it's a 4-piece band with a lead vocalist. Mark Bowles is coming in from Las Vegas for this show. And then we have Opus 216, which is a large classical ensemble. And they're bringing a string section in for the show. And they've been a wonderful treasure in Cleveland. And so we've joined forces to do these shows coming up in 2024, of which yours is the first incarnation of what
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, I know Victor Baynes. I know is one of the string players. It's really top-notch musicianship. It's
world class. I mean, these are world class players. Yeah.
So, what percentage of the show is original versus covers, or is it still being worked out?
I would say it's probably 2/3, 1/3. But what we're doing, we're playing a lot of the original music is coming from my new album called Deep Grooves. And the last 3 years, I've been studying the concept of groove and what made those great grooving tracks in the 70s, whether it be funk, R&B, soul, even some of the groovier rock songs. What made people involuntarily get up and move? What's the science of a groove?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I analyzed that. So even though there might be some new music here, it's going to sound familiar because we're using a lot of the groove formulas in it.
That's
so
awesome.
It's going to be 2/3, 1/3 Some of the other, covers that we're going to do are going to be everything from like Stevie Wonder. We'll do some Zeppelin, of course, which I'm known for. We'll do some Deep Purple, Beatles, got a few other kind of surprises in there. We'll even throw in a couple of rock versions of classical pieces because I'm a classical composer. So we'll have a little tip of the cap to Beethoven, maybe some Shostakovich. Yeah, lots of improvisation. It's going to be cool, man.
That's great. So the group, you moved back to the area during the pandemic.
Yeah.
How far back does the group concept go? When did this start?
The only person that I've played with pretty consistently over the last 40 years is the bass player Al Rawlik. He and I, when we were youngsters, were in a pretty popular band that started in Cleveland called Abraxas. So he and I go back over 40 years. The rest of the group is kind of, pieced together and evolving over the years. This lineup has Mark Bowles, who's really, really well known in the rock and heavy metal area. He's originally from Cleveland, but he's been a world kind of traveler. And then, we've got the 216 group. We've got two other local players, Billy Brock on keys, and a great young, organist. And then we've got, as I said, I didn't say, but a local drummer who's a really talented guy. His name is Jim Rushman, and he's all over the city in jazz, big band, and rock. He's our secret weapon.
Well, I'm really into this. There's a marriage of classical. There's a marriage with rock, and as you said, I think it's a great marriage of the music with the space too. I mean, I know you've been in that space, but it's it's the music hall, which is the bigger. If people out there haven't been, it's the bigger of the two spaces there, and it's it's from 1927. It's got a lot of history. It's Slovenian Community Center, and I'm real excited to see it in that context too. I think
it's a beautiful room. And I would also add that the other part that we're bringing in 2024, we spent a lot of time thinking about the theatrical presentation of this. So we're bringing more of sort of a theater kind of circus vibe to the room. We have this, wardrobe that represents the, kind of 70s vibe, but also kind of a steampunk vibe because it's got this 1800s sort of vibe going on.
I love it.
And so we've got a custom light show, wardrobe, all this new music. And we're hoping that people will come and time travel with us. And hey, wear your favorite 70s getup, man. We'll give you some free merch for the best dress.
Yeah, I got a bunch of that in my closet. So
let's do it.
I'm looking forward. Well, again, that's the Baldassarre Rock Orchestra. It's this Friday, March 29, at Treelawn Music Hall. There are tickets available in advance at thetreelawn.com. We have free parking, plenty of it, full bar. It's going to be a really great time. 7:30 p.m. this Friday, March 29. Don't miss it. And Carl, thanks so much again for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Eric, to you and your team. And we're looking forward to really rocking that room on Friday.
I'm very psyched. Thanks again.